The average business spends 59 cents out of every manufacturing dollar distributing finished goods from factory to point of sale. Small wonder that distribution patterns increasingly absorb top management attention. For while these patterns generate imposing costs, they form the vital links by which localized production reaches out to tap the opportunities of widespread volume markets. Distribution was once a simple matter of finding transportation, but modern management views it as the creative technique by which growing companies develop expanding markets. Where similar businesses compete, cost and quality of distribution looms as a dominant competitive factor. Progressive managements develop new concepts and new techniques of distribution. Today, many exploit, and many more are pondering the unique opportunities of distributing goods by air. Passenger traffic and passenger aircraft still dominate the scene at most of our large airports. But behind the scene, air freight moves into the cargo holds of passenger planes, and more moves into the fuselages of all cargo aircraft. Air freight volume increases 20 to 25% each year, and each year sees faster and more frequent schedules, increased airlift capacity, and improved ground handling methods. Much cargo moves by air to relieve emergencies, or because of its exceptionally delicate or perishable nature, or because its high value per pound makes transportation costs a minor item. But growing volumes of air freight move as a result of deliberate economic choice, based on new concepts of transportation's role in the total distribution pattern. Raytheon Corporation built its new distribution center at Westwood, Massachusetts, after prolonged and thorough study of the entire distribution setup. Raytheon formerly operated with a conventional distribution pattern: production in the Boston area, warehouses in all the major market areas, servicing distributors in scores of cities, supplying thousands of dealer outlets. This system worked as well as might be expected, but certain cost and service aspects raised serious questions. Warehouse inventories tied up $2 million of operating capital, but contained only about 60% of the product items. This incomplete coverage cost $100,000 per year for interest on capital, $160,000 per year for fixed warehouse costs, $48,000 per year property taxes, $177,000 per year for warehouse handling expenses. The whopping total offered tempting scope for economies, and service, while good, could certainly stand some improvement. Raytheon began to look past the distribution pattern to examine the complete circuit of orders making their way from the distributor back to the factory, and products moving from the factory out to the distributors. This very common type of order delivery cycle works in a most indirect fashion. The factory estimates sales far into the future, makes the goods, and puts them into factory inventory with a generous safety margin. Warehouses order goods from the factory once a month. After more or less time for processing and assembling the order, the factory sends the goods via cheapest practical transportation. 10 days to 2 weeks later, the warehouse receives, unpacks, and puts the goods into a warehouse inventory, supposedly covering 8 weeks' future requirements. Meanwhile, a steady stream of distributor orders arrive at the warehouse. Within 3 or 4 days, the orders have been processed, the goods packed, and delivery made to the distributor. Quite frequently, an order catches the warehouse out of stock. The distributor still wants 3 or 4 days delivery. This generates a considerable volume of emergency traffic, cutting through and across the normal distribution routine. Notice that from the distributor's viewpoint, the order delivery cycle takes 3 or 4 days. But from the factory's viewpoint, it takes 2 or 3 months. Raytheon set out to build a cheaper, simpler, faster, more reliable, and more profitable distribution circuit. Raytheon executives began by setting up an imaginary, ideal order delivery circuit. Distributors would order replenishment stock and special order items direct from the factory, not by mail, but by wire. The factory would inventory 100% of the produced items. Order processing, packing, and shipping would go on a same-day basis. Transportation would go from a 2-week to a 1-day schedule. What would formerly be an emergency order would now fit right into the routine. The entire order delivery cycle would require no more than 3 days from the factory's viewpoint as well as the distributors. Raytheon made careful studies comparing the ideal system with the existing system from the standpoint of effect on profit. Cost studies favored the new system. Technical studies showed its practicality. Raytheon began phasing the new plan into operation. Here's how the new order delivery system works for a distributor in Oakland, California. When the distributor makes a sale, the clerk removes pre-punched inventory cards from each packet. The cards go into the box along with pre-punched special order cards. Each day, all special orders and replenishment cards go on direct wire equipment for transmission literally with the speed of light to the Westwood, Massachusetts distribution center. Today's electronic order transmission systems work at practical cost, clip whole days off the order delivery cycle. Automatic office machinery cuts order processing time down to a matter of minutes, prints all necessary documents, eliminates internal delays. Merchandise to fill orders comes out of stock about an hour after transmission of the order by a distributor. Orders generated in Oakland in the morning leave the shipping dock at Westwood, Massachusetts late the same afternoon. At Boston's Logan Airport, outbound goods go aboard evening air freight flights. Air transportation provides the key link in high-speed order delivery cycles, bringing every major city within range of overnight shipping from Boston. With air freight spark-plugging the new distribution system, Raytheon distributors get not 3 or 4 day service on 60% of the products, but 1 or 2 day service on the entire product list. A most important sales stimulant in a business where availabilities frequently spell the difference between sale or no sale. The high-speed order delivery cycle eliminates warehouses, saving $160,000 per year fixed costs, $177,000 warehouse operating costs, $100,000 inventory financing costs, and $48,000 on property taxes. A total of $485,000 gross savings. To find net savings, allow $240,585 for air transportation, as compared with the $116,500 formerly paid for surface shipping, and deduct the difference of $124,085. The total net saving of the new system equals $360,915, plus a volume-building improvement in service and a greatly strengthened competitive sales position. Renault of France maintains a widespread spare parts distribution system in support of its growing North American market. The transatlantic link in this pattern offers abundant sea transportation, traditionally the cheapest way to move goods. Yet since 1958, Renault has moved millions of dollars worth of parts annually across the ocean exclusively by air, for the simple reason that air shipment saves on total distribution costs. Savings begin in the shipping rooms at the Renault factory. Packaging for air shipment costs about 1/8 as much as packaging for sea. Two of these vans carry a complete plane load of parts. The same volume packed for sea required 12 large flatbeds. Parts with little or no packing make the journey quite safely by air. Transportation damage has been reduced by 90%, saving close to $5,000 per 100,000 worth of parts. 3 flights a week carry the entire parts traffic formerly moved by land-sea combination and by emergency air freight shipments. With 15 days saved on time and transit, Renault's Long Island City parts depot carries a much smaller inventory. Air transportation saves $3,500 on uncrating and crate disposal and $3,000 warehouse space and personnel costs on every $100,000 worth of parts handled. Every part in Renault's New York depot crossed the Atlantic as air cargo. Smaller, faster-turning warehouse inventory saves $2,500 per 100,000 on inventory finance costs. In Renault's case, slow, cheap transportation led to large, slow-turning inventory, expensive damage in transit, and excessive total costs. After the change to air shipment, Renault saved $3,100 on packing, on every $100,000 worth of parts handled, $5,000 in damage, $3,500 for unpacking and crate disposal, $3,000 warehousing costs, and $2,500 inventory financing, a gross saving of $17,100. Transportation costs increased by only $8,500, leaving a net saving of $8,600 per 100,000, 8 6/10% of the factory value saved in handling this multi-million-dollar annual traffic. The Mecklenburg-Duncan Company, located in Oklahoma City, manufactures a wide line of hardware specialties, including mailboxes, house numbers, and extruded aluminum products. The company distributes from the factory directly to 35,000 retail outlets throughout the country. Mecklenburg-Duncan uses no wholesalers, no branch warehouses. A very active sales force maintains contact between company and dealers. Salesmen write and transmit over half the orders. Dealers send the rest direct. This dealer in Swansea, Massachusetts, will receive his goods just as quickly from Oklahoma City as though ordered from a nearby wholesaler. At Oklahoma City, modern office machinery cuts order processing time to the bare minimum. The company accepts any order, no matter how small, stamps the order for parcel post from the most convenient break bulk point, consolidates all orders from the same general area into bulk rate air freight shipments, and consigns them to the postmaster at the break bulk point. The morning's orders leave the plant the same day. Air Transport gets the order to Albany, New York, the northeastern breakbulk point, overnight. The individual packages then go into regular parcel post, an arrangement much faster and distinctly cheaper than Railway Express. The order arrives the second day after placement, prepaid from the factory. The dealer gets fast service, and Mecklenburg-Duncan avoids the cost of a complex distribution system. Distribution by air finds favor on solid economic grounds with more and more businesses each year. National Twist Drill cuts order delivery lead time on all special order items. Park Davis meets ever-shifting demand patterns for vaccines and pharmaceuticals, saves days of precious shelf life. American Optical pioneered much of the theory and practice of high-speed order delivery cycles, chose air freight to ship spectacle frames, semi-finished lenses, and eye safety devices to obtain a substantial savings on the total cost of distribution. Thomas Strahan Company of Chelsea, Massachusetts finds air freight the key to Midwestern markets for fine, custom-made wallpapers. Montgomery Ward slashes inventories, avoids heavy obsolescence costs by air shipping ladies' clothing nationwide from a central stock in Chicago. Ampec ships direct to dealers, enjoys the savings from elimination of branch warehouses. Cole of California cuts order delivery time on swimsuits, avoids heavy speculative manufacturing, competes successfully in distant markets. IBM World Trade services the European market with weekly charter flights, avoiding enormous damage risks, putting valuable equipment into service weeks earlier. Tektronix of Portland, Oregon manufactures fine test equipment to order, uses air freight to slash total lead time. Polaroid Corporation keeps up with mushrooming demand by air freighting products out, drastically cutting stock in transit, distributor inventories, and order delivery cycles. As jet passenger planes come into service, more and better air freight capacity becomes available. The jets carry up to 10,000 pounds each in belly holds. Within the next few years, all cargo jets will cut air freight operating costs in half as compared to the most efficient piston engine freighters. New ground handling systems will load or unload entire planes in a few short minutes. With such equipment, air freight tariffs will continue their already constant decrease. As more and more distribution systems take to the air, sales outlets will become accustomed to fast service, intolerant of back orders. More managements will find ways to cut inventories, accelerate the order delivery cycle, release capital tied up in distribution, penetrate new markets. Air cargo will take its place as an integral part of the new pattern of air age distribution.